Hi again. I want to now just provide some examples about how life events are related to your symptoms. So this will be explanation for going through your medical history, basically, and you, as you do that, can make correlations between symptoms you're having, when they started, and events that happened in the past. You can track that, and it's very useful. So again, I'm going to go to a woman comes in for painful periods, constipation, and mentions that her gyne has said that she has a tilted uterus. During the medical history, there's a question about exercise and past falls and that sort of thing. So she used to play soccer, and she remembers that she had a pretty bad fall on her tailbone at one point. So you would find with someone like this that her uterus likely is tilting backwards. It's sitting on her colon, and her tailbone is bent inward instead of that nice curve at the bottom. And she has some scar tissue around her sacrum, this triangular bone down here, low on our back above the buttocks. And so that all adds up to what she's shared about having played soccer. And so her periods are painful because her uterus is tilted backwards. And ideally, I'm going to use this hand. This is the front of the body, glutes here. So uterus. Normally she sits about like this. Okay, front of the body again. If it's all the way back, and I'm talking about further back, bending back than that, the uterus, when it's time to menstruate, has to push all the blood and lining uphill and then down. So the uterus is a big muscle, and she'll just keep cramping to get that blood out, because that's her job at this point. At the same time, when she's in that position, it's exacerbated when you're premenstrual, because the womb is bigger, full of blood right before you menstruate. The uterus will just be sitting on the colon and blocking the exit point for the feces. So constipation depends on other factors. Certainly the nervous system has been involved with the impact on the tailbone, but that's a big physical impairment to normal physiology. Let's see, I just want to check my notes here to keep me on track. Yeah, so that's why we look at events and symptoms, because we can tie symptoms to events. It happens over and over again. There's another example I'll share. Someone else comes in and has headaches, pretty bad headaches, and irregular cycles. And these symptoms began about a year ago. So during the health history, we find out she's had a car accident 18 months ago, and she had concussion, so she hit her head significantly, whiplash, and her lower back ached quite a bit after that event. So to address irregular cycles, we have to look at hormones. And also, hormones are affected, believe it or not, by, I always wondered about this a long time ago, and then finally got put together for me. The pituitary gland is here. It's in the center of your cranium. It's the master hormonal gland. So if she has impact to her head, the bones in her head will get jammed, and they won't move like they're supposed to. It's imperceptible almost. You can perceive it, but you have to slow way down, because our cranial bones will expand and then contract over about a 2.5-minute cycle, because the craniosacral fluid will come up into the cranium, bathe the brain, and then go back down the spine into the tailbone. So getting an impact in her head has jammed some of the bones. Things are not working quite right. This also has impacted the functioning of the pituitary in an efficient way. The signaling between the pituitary and the ovaries is now off, irregular cycles. I'm just scanning my notes again just to stay on track, as I said. Also, the impact of because there are two reasons she's having headaches. One is because the cranial bones are not able to move as they would ideally. The second is hormonal again, because when you have a shock to the system like that, your body will produce cortisol, which is a stress hormone, to deal with that shock. And oftentimes people carry shock in their bodies for sometimes decades, but certainly for a good long time. And that'll disrupt, because the precursor to the hormone cortisol, the stress hormone, also is a precursor to the hormone progesterone, which is a reproductive hormone that's essential for regulating cycles. So this impact to her cranium, headaches, irregular cycles for hormonal disruption. So we'll address these things provided in the protocols and self-care that you'll do at home, so that these situations can be healed up and you can be happily functioning again. And I think, let's see, anything else? Yes. So I hope these examples have been helpful for your understanding of how symptoms and events are related. You can pretty much always track them back to something that's happened in a person's life, or even their ancestors, their parents or their grandparents' lives, which is another deep dive at some point. But thanks for your attention. I'll see you later on.